Good morning, students. I hope all of you are keeping well and staying at home. So today we'll be starting with the first video lesson of class 7, that is nutrition in plants. So firstly, before starting with this chapter, I would like to say that in class 6 you have read about the chapter components of food, right? So within this chapter you have learned that what is the importance of a food. Okay, so I will just move on to a glance that why is food important? Because food is a basic requirement of all living organisms, right? And within this food there are several components which are being present. Now what are those components? The components are carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. So these components together are referred to as what? They are referred to as the nutrients, right? So these nutrients, whenever they are intaken by us and they're being utilized in the body of all the living organisms, that are referred to as the process of nutrition, not only by us but by all living organisms, right? So today our main focus of discussion is nutrition in plants. So we will go through the detailed in plants. Okay, so we will move on to a flow chart. Okay, so in this flow chart you can see that food, this is a basic requirement of all living organisms. Now coming to the next one, that is nutrients. Nutrients, I have told that it consists of what? Carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins and minerals. So these components of food together are referred to as the nutrients. And the nutrition is what? The mode of intaking food and utilizing it, right? So we can see that these three terms, food, nutrients and nutrition, are related to each other. Now next coming to modes of nutrition, that means the types. So two ways by this the modes of nutrition can take place. Firstly, autotrophic nutrition. If you come to the word meaning, the term auto means self and the trophic comes from the word tropos, which means nourishment. That means what? The organism which is capable of making its food from the simplest substances are called autotrophs, and the mode of nutrition is referred to as autotrophic nutrition. For example, the green plants. Whereas heterotrophic nutrition, what is the word meaning? The term heteros means other and tropos means again nourishment. So the type of organism which depends directly or indirectly on the plants for its nutrition and is not capable of making their own food is referred to as heterotrophic nutrition. For example, the non-green plants and the insectivorous plants. We'll move on to our next subtopic, that is nutrition in autotrophs. Now we know that the plants are the only living organisms that can make their own food. They use certain raw materials which are required for this process of nutrition. Now what are these raw materials? Firstly, the number one is water and minerals which are present in the soil. They're absorbed by the root hairs and ultimately through the stem with the help of certain vessels they're passed on to the leaves. Secondly, the carbon dioxide which is present in the air are again taken in by the leaves through stomata. Thirdly, the chlorophyll, which is the green pigment, is present already in the leaves. And fourth, that sunlight coming from the sun is trapped by these chlorophyll molecules present in the leaves. So what are the raw materials? Firstly, water and minerals. Secondly, carbon dioxide. Thirdly, chlorophyll. And fourth is sunlight. So whenever these raw materials are being present in the plants are able to make their own food, and the process is referred to as photosynthesis. Now what does this word photosynthesis mean? Photo means light and synthesis means to put together. Then what we can say? That the plants put together all raw materials and turn them into carbohydrate. Now what is this carbohydrate? This carbohydrate is the food prepared by the plants. So in the products, what we can say? Carbohydrate is the formed product and oxygen is released in the process of photosynthesis. Now coming to the equation, firstly carbon dioxide plus water, which are the raw materials, as well as in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, it forms carbohydrate and releases oxygen. Now what happens to this carbohydrate? This carbohydrate is converted into starch and it is stored in the leaves. So whenever this starch is being stored in the leaves, we can easily conclude that leaves have undergone the process of photosynthesis. We'll move on to our next subtopic, that is transfer of energy. Now we all know that photosynthesis is a unique process wherein the energy of the sun is trapped by the green plants, and these green plants perform photosynthesis in which the carbohydrate is formed, which ultimately converts into starch and is being stored in the leaves. Now what happens to the starch? The starch is being consumed by the humans as well as the other animals which is being present. So we can easily say that this photosynthesis, if it does not take place, then there will be no food. And we also know that the plants, they produce oxygen, right? So this oxygen during the process of photosynthesis which is being formed helps in the survival of all living organisms. So it is one of the important products which is being released during the process of photosynthesis. Now we come to the next topic, that is leaf, the food factory. So this leaf is perfectly designed to perform the photosynthesis. So how are the designs made? So firstly, the lamina, that is the flat portion. What does it do? It absorbs large amount of sunlight, as because we can see that the lamina, the surface area is more, so it absorbs large amount of sunlight. Next, the stomata, which is present in the lower surface. As I have said, the stomata is present in the leaves, and the stomata is specifically present more in the lower surface of the leaves. So what does the stomata do? It allows gases to pass in and out of the leaves. And thirdly is that the veins which are being present in the leaves forms a network like structure, and it brings water into the leaves and transport prepared food to the rest of the plant. So these 3 points, lamina, stomata and veins present in the leaves, make it as a food factory of the plant. Our next subtopic is nutrition in heterotrophic plants. Like I've said before, there are some plants which cannot prepare their own food due to lack of chlorophyll, the green pigment of the plants. Such non-green plants derive their nutrition by depending on the food produced by the other plants. So they are referred to as what? They are referred to as heterotrophic plants. So depending on the type of feeding, these heterotrophic plants are having 3 types of nutrition. What are those? Parasitic nutrition, saprotrophic nutrition and symbiotic nutrition. Firstly, we will come to parasitic nutrition and elaborate it. So first is that this parasitic nutrition, the organism that is a parasite specifically, they feed on other organisms for their food and shelter. So as a result of this, they get ready-made food from the host. So these parasites can again be mainly divided into 2 types. One is endoparasite, another one is exoparasite. When the parasite lives within the body of the host, it is called endoparasite. And when it is present outside the body of the host, it is referred to as ectoparasite. For example, Cuscuta, which is present, is an ectoparasite, whereas Rafflesia arnoldi is an endoparasite. Now how? Firstly, Cuscuta plant the leaves on the body of the host and cannot survive in absence of the host plant. Whereas in case of Rafflesia, what happens? It is an endoparasite which lives completely within the host material, and it has the world's largest flower and is native to specifically Indonesia and Malaysia. Next, another interesting feature is that there is one type of parasite which is referred to as partial parasite. Now what happens? For example, mistletoe. Some parasite plants such as mistletoe, they bear green leaves even though they can receive water and nutrients from the host plant. What they do? They can prepare their own food with the help of these nutrients, and hence they are called partial parasite. Another interesting feature is that the insectivorous plants. Now what are these insectivorous plants? For example, the pitcher plants. What do? There are some plants which can trap insects and digest them. So in case of pitcher plant, what happens? The leaves, they are being modified to form a pitcher-like structure, right? And there is one lead-like structure which is present at the apex of this leaf. inside the pitcher there are hair which are directed to, downwards. When an insect lands on the pitcher, the lid opens and sends the insect straight inside the pitcher, and the lid allows and it is being closed. So whenever the lid is closed, then what happens? The insect which is present inside, it is being digested with the help of the leaf present here. So next we'll move on to the second mode of nutrition of heterotrophic plants, that is saprotrophic nutrition. The word sapro comes from the word roten. Hence, we can easily conclude that these organisms intake nutrients from the dead and decaying matter. For example, the mushrooms, molds, mildews, and as well as the yeast. So, you must have seen the mushrooms, everybody, that grows on the ground, on trees, on rotten logs of wood, specifically during the rainy season, right? So one of the most important or favorable condition for this saprotrophic nutrition is warm and wet environment. Without this hot and humid condition, the saprotrophic mode of nutrition cannot take place with the help of the saprotrophs. The third mode of nutrition is symbiotic nutrition. So what is the word meaning? Sym means together and biotic means living. So the association of two organisms together so that they can benefit mutually is referred to as symbiotic nutrition. For example, the lichens. What happens in this case? In these organisms, a fungi and algae, they live together and they are mutually benefiting each other. How? The algae contains chlorophyll and the fungus provides shelter and water and minerals for the preparation of the food. So this food is also prepared and provided to the fungi, right? Second example, if we consider, that is the nitrogen fixation by the bacteria Rhizobium. So the bacteria which are present in the root nodules of leguminous plants take the atmospheric nitrogen and convert it into the soluble form. So this process is referred to as the fixing of nitrogen. And whenever this process of fixation takes place, it is being done by the help of this bacteria Rhizobium. In this lesson, what we have learned, what we can summarize: firstly, the living organisms, they need food to perform the basic life processes. Secondly, the green plants, they are the autotrophs which can perform photosynthesis. Thirdly, the starch which is stored in the leaves of the plants during the process of photosynthesis are then transferred to humans and other animals in the form of energy. And fourthly, the heterotrophic nutrition can be classified into parasitic nutrition, parasites, saprotrophic nutrition, saprotrophs, and symbiotic nutrition, association of two organisms depending on their type of feeding. So students, hopefully you have understood the lesson. Thank you so much.